And the workplace, as we know it, has evolved and will continue to do so. What is there for the future of work, and what can both employers and employees do to ensure that they are properly primed to make the most out of it? Today we are privileged to have Kofi Hagen, who is an executive director at Learning Services. He's a top recruiter and understands the dynamics of the workplace and how it impacts employees and employers alike. And he will be speaking to us about the future of work and how both employers and employees can make the most out of it. So if you are ready, let's get to know him.
My name is Kofi Hagen, and I'm the Executive Director of Learning Services Limited. It's a leading HR company in Ghana that's been around for over 25 years. As the Executive Director, I have oversight responsibility over our HR consulting wing, as well as our HR marketing communications division called HR Focus. I am a management consultant. I see myself as an entrepreneur because I've started a couple of businesses. One of them, I co-founded Echo House Ghana with my friends in school. Echo House is a marketing communications company that's doing quite well. I'm a father of 2 annoying little children, and that's about it. Okay. In terms of my career, I actually studied civil engineering when I was in tech, and after my first degree, I delved into marketing a little bit. So I'm currently a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. But after a while, and with my experience in HR, I became a full-fledged management consultant with interest in HR, marketing communications, and that's who I am. I think the traditional work setting there, basically work is the same as it was before. A lot of the changes is seen in how we are actually implementing the work. And the pandemic that came accelerated remote working, which is a concept that has been started, especially in the companies in the Western world, particularly Silicon Valley companies. I think a few companies in Ghana in the past were also practicing some aspect of remote working. But now remote working seems to be the order of the day. It's the new normal, where you can work from home, work from different places to execute your tasks, to get things done. Really, I think that is what has changed about the traditional way of working. The typical 9 to 5 has changed, where people can work any hours during the week. The focus is on getting the job done. I believe the future of work is an aggregation of remote working, digitization, and freelancing actually. So I already mentioned remote working, where people can work from anywhere just to get the results done. The focus, as I said, is on performance and efficiency and innovation. So that working in a typical office setting is changing. And it's important because nowadays people are entering the world of work from universities or from tertiary institutions are not looking to work the same way as before. They are constantly on the go. They are heavily distracted by things that are happening online. So having your own control of the time of normal working hours is something that a lot of people are enjoying now that are not going to want to relinquish anytime soon. So remote working is going to be the order of the day. And lots of people were doing it, freelancers and the like were doing it, which is another reason why I think freelance work is going to be a thing of the future, because companies now have to tighten their belts because of the effects of the pandemic. And in doing so, they may not be able to pay for full-time workers. So they are looking to hire more freelance workers, contractors, and people who have those skill sets, who are able to work on the go, would be seen to be getting more jobs in the future. So a typical example is like maybe companies before, because they were heavy on marketing, would probably have a whole production team where there are shoots, video shoots and photography are being done. Nowadays they'll pivot and then start hiring as and when needed, using freelancers who on their own have done very well with their businesses. Then there's digitization. I mean, if you're looking at the concept of remote working, it's not possible without technology. It's not possible without digitization, as I mentioned. So you would find that there are upsurge of communication and collaboration platforms and tools. Lots of companies will be looking at getting enterprise resource planning software, that's the ERP, to just make working better from wherever it is that you're working. So the future of work is also about being able to, cross that divide when it comes to the traditional and then the technology. And I think that's where things are going to now. The pandemic hit all of us. It was global shutdown, and people just had to adapt in order to survive. So because we didn't have a choice, you have to find ways to continue business operations. And that is how the new normal is going to become from what is happening now. So I think people have adapted quite well. The difficulty comes in the downturn in business. So if, for instance, if you're an event company, if people couldn't now interact socially in events, what are you going to do? Immediately, almost immediately, your turnover is going to go down. And that including associated businesses or activities around it. So if you have set up as an MC, I know someone who's an event MC that was making lots of money from doing that job. Just because the pandemic hit, immediately things change for the worse for him. So that's what people have to contend with, and employers have to sometimes, let some of their workers go, put them on furlough and whatnot. But the upside to that is now employees are being forced into entrepreneurship, into consulting, into freelance work. So that's also creating lots of business opportunities and creating for customers and consumers various options. So in terms of adjusting or adapting to the future of the future of work, I think companies will do well. They will pivot. They will find ways. Once events, for instance, is not working so much, now there's virtual events. So they have to find ways of moving into virtual events. The people who had office spaces, for instance, that were renting out, and now people are not coming to the office spaces to rent out anymore, have to find other means for it. They can convert it to shops or places where products can be stocked for delivery to be sent out. I mean, you have to be inventive with the assets that you have, the things that you put in place, and see how best you can move forward. And I think people are doing quite well. I mean, if you're an employee that you are not well versed in digital marketing, don't have a lot of digital skills to offer, you're likely to be the first ones out. I mean, that's the order of the day. Technology is becoming something that every company, needs to have and will be using heavily moving forward. So if you're not adept at technology, you're not amenable to change and improve your skill set, I think you would find yourself wanting. So for employees, that is basically it. Now, apart from having those skill sets, obviously companies are also looking at people with the right attitudes, the right mindsets, leadership acumen. You need to have a combination of all these things, because once you have the digital skill sets, you can adapt to any change. Now also have leadership ability. You can transform those abilities into various areas. So for employees, you just need to make sure that you are not going to be pushed away. You are highly indispensable. For employers, I mean, it's tough. It's tough almost everywhere. I mentioned that some people were able to pivot. So I know companies that were into manufacturing products that people would usually consume, maybe those who manufactured maybe drinks. The beverage industry, for instance, will be hit hard, because when people will now be going to pubs and restaurants and be drinking, now they're not doing so much. So what does that mean? A lot of them pivoted and started creating hand sanitizers and products that were used to battle this pandemic. And the COVID-19 is not going anywhere anytime soon. Despite the vaccinations and whatnot, it's going to be part of our way of life moving forward. And so once you've pivoted properly, they're able to now use the new income streams to offset the ones that they've lost. So other people are being inventive. I know hospitality was also hit very hard. So before they'll charge a lot for, spending the night there. Now they have to be very creative and coming up with promotional packages to encourage people to come and stay there at very good rates. So to get more people coming in. Airline industry, for instance, are letting people be able to book in advance for 2 years. And once you do that, you're able to maintain your how much you're going to spend on a ticket, when usually fluctuations happen because of peak periods. So these are measures that employers, because they were hit hard, they are trying to put in place to, survive. And I think generally a lot are doing well. Some companies have had to close down as a result. And I always say that as an entrepreneur, once you have been able to rise up and start a business, even when you go through tough times and the business collapses, you can rise up again because you have what it takes to do well in another form. So I don't think it's all bad. What I do also know is that usually when there's a pandemic, or there's a huge crisis that happens, like a war, the economy goes down for a while, but there's a big surge because people just become innovative, and there's a lot of improvement in lifestyles. So if you look back at World War II, there was a boom that happened across Europe that improved the economy greatly. If you look at the Spanish flu, history shows that once these things hit, the upsurge of economy is great. GDPs start rising again. So I think there's hope for the future. This pandemic, that's the silver lining to this pandemic. That's something good is going to come out of it. I think I mentioned earlier on that they should improve on their digital skills. Right now, and the way the world is going, content creators, something that lots of brands, lots of businesses are looking out for, both internally and also to outsource to agencies. So everybody's eyeballs on social media. It's not even a joke. Some people downplay it, but the older generation will be fading. Or even the older generation, you can tell that they are seeing the effects of social media in their lives, their children's lives, and some of them are coming on board. So if you are working, before you would have said, I'm not on social media, and it sounded nice to say, right? Now, if you say you're not on social media, the question is, why? What are you doing? Where are you getting your news? Where are you buying your products? Because even social media platforms are places where you can buy services or products. So where are you buying? Why are you not part of the ecosystem? So if you are there now and you don't have the requisite skills to do anything with social media is concerned, community management, content creation, just knowing copy to be able to post for your brand, your business, as an individual, how you market yourself. In recruitment, when you are recruiting somebody, you immediately want to check their social media, because you want to know how the person thinks, what the person does. If you don't have anything, it's equally as bad as having something negative online. You get it? So it's important that you start to look at yourself in the way the world is moving. People have talked about being able to code. It's something that sometimes is beyond a lot of people. But up and coming workers, if you try and learn the skill, learning how to use easy coding programs that are out there, you can learn online. It will help your prospects. I mentioned leadership. People are looking for the right attitudes, people who have energy. Companies come and they are wondering, can you vibe with, it's a term that they are being used right now. When I'm interviewing people, I want to know if you can fit in the culture of the organization I'm interviewing for. So I find out from the organization what kind of person I'm looking for. And now almost every company is looking for high energy levels. They want people who are excited to work with that company. So you need to come out of your shell. You need to be more confident about your abilities. And you need to be able to put yourself out there. So for employees, if you want to do well in the future, that's about it. First and foremost, it's a mindset that interviewing somebody virtually will not be the same as when they're in person. The results would definitely be the same. The interaction obviously will be different, because in person there are no impediments like maybe bad internet, or maybe the camera is not working. So that is a given. However, virtual interviews have been something that companies have been doing for a very long time. Global companies, for instance, where you have to recruit for people in a branch located in another country, I mean, it's just convenient not to have to travel if you're in Kenya to recruit for your Ghana office, but to just interview them on phone or on Zoom. Back then, I think they were using something else. Zoom has just come up now. But basically, it's been something that is there. And what you are supposed to do is to prepare if you are an interviewer with the candidate. Prepare and make sure that you have the right questions that you would have asked if you were doing it in person. Okay. The cues you're going to look out for, that your body language and things, is the same thing, because you want the person to have their video on. Let them put their video on, let them be able to speak clearly, let them feel comfortable. Because the best kind of interview is the one where the candidate feels very comfortable. So whichever way you'd have made the person feel comfortable if you were meeting them face to face, you do that the same way virtually. Tell them that, oh, it's just a conversation I'm having with you. Then you try and look at the way the person will react to the questions you ask, the way the person thinks. But even with all of that, it's not a given. Interviews, I always say, is 50-50. People would generally say what they think they want you to hear. So it's not the best way to assess somebody's suitability for a role. There are various things that you can do, which will include assessments that can be done virtually as well, to include doing background checks, asking their previous employers, asking people who have worked with them, colleagues, about what they thought of the person. And always have it at the back of your mind that not everything, the truth will be said all the time. Okay. But you strike a balance. Be patient with the person when the person is online, because the person is already nervous as it is when they are being interviewed, and now they have to grapple with the internet issues and their video not working, how they look and whatnot. So you have to be patient and then guide the person through the process. I think virtual interviews are very easy from the interviewer side. The problem is the candidate, who would probably have issues with their internet because they might not have the high-class internet that the interviewer will have. So if they don't have that, they are going to struggle. Now, where can they do the interview? If you are currently in employment, you can't easily do the interview where you're working. So where would you do the interview? Before, you'd have come to the office of the person, so it's easier. Now the person will have to do it at home. Distractions. Do you live alone? There's a whole... I've been doing virtual interviews for a long time, and last year I had to do a lot more. And I see that the candidates are really struggling with this, so they don't know how to set their laptops or their cameras. They don't know that they are supposed to face the light. So sometimes the light is behind them, and they don't look very sharp in the image. These are things that people can learn and read about. I've experienced myself how energies have gone down, how the engagement has literally gone down because of the lack of, social facilitation, where people are spending time together in the office. They are able to immediately turn around on their desk and speak to a friend. Now, when they are working from home, that is not easily accessible. You actually have to pick up your phone and call somebody, and it's just not the same. So in my office, for example, we did a survey at some point to determine how people are dealing with these issues, because I think we're going to have a psychologist come and speak to the issue and help them with the mental problems that usually come with the pandemic. And one of the things that we discovered was almost half of the people wanted to work from the office and did not like working from home. So it's amazing. And we had even young people, millennials, that you think that would be excited at the prospects of working from home. Some of them even said that it's because when they are working from home, they are being sent too much by their parents to go here and go and run errands here and there. And they just didn't understand if work was so important, why would they send you home to work from home? So it's very interesting how the pandemic and working from home created different situations for different people. And it's important, especially if you're an employer or an HR person, to understand the dynamics and want to do something about it, because employee engagement is important to get high levels of motivation, to get high productivity, which improves the bottom line. So if you don't have high employee engagement, you are likely to have problems. How do you get the right balance? It's a good question. So introduce constant meetings. I think the meetings that people are held, you can facilitate it as an employer or as an HR person. Make sure that they are meeting every week. People can work on their own, but make sure they are meeting every week. And even within the week, the smaller units should be meeting together. And let them put on their cameras. In Ghana, we have huge internet problems, so it's not easy to put on your camera and still be able to have smooth transactions online. But what we do, for instance, is to put on our cameras at the beginning and at the end of the meeting, where we all smile and then we wave at each other. At that point, someone will say, "Hey, Kofi, is that your hair? How your hair is gone?" Yes, I mean, those are some of the things that can be done. We find ways of having like happy hour online, where we would all come online and then we ask quizzes, we have, we joke around, we have fun. We have, even on WhatsApp, Fridays, fun Fridays, where we throw funny questions or we put in some short music videos from old, and then people should try and guess what it is. So there's some interaction that happens. It's just not physical interactions. But I also dare say that the pandemic is, it's going down. I mean, it's becoming better. And even though it's going to live with us for a while, it doesn't mean that we need to stop being. So working from home is something that will come and stay, right? But once in a while, you can call for a social event where social distancing and don't shake hands and whatnot, safety protocols can be observed. But at the same time, you get to also have some fun once in a while. That would help bridge the divide. Honestly, I think people should follow their dreams and their belief, what they believe in. For me, for instance, I studied civil engineering and tech. Spent 4 years of my time doing something that I absolutely hated. And I did it because I was a good student when I was in school in Fanspim, and I had the option of doing science. And then I did well in science, so I could do engineering. So why don't I do engineering? Because I'll make a lot of money, which is what I did, until I realized I hated every minute of it. So when I came out, the quickest chance I had to move out, and I was fortunate to be able to branch out. Not everybody gets that opportunity. I moved into marketing and I loved it. And I feel if I had spent 4 years doing some social science, I think I would have been happier with myself instead of feeling sad the whole 4 years in school. So I would say that if it's not too late, move into something that you enjoy. The secret to success is fulfillment. To do something well is to enjoy it. So right now, even if you like playing football, but in the past they'll say playing football is not good. How much money sportsmen are making. And you don't have to rise up and make as much money as Cristiano Ronaldo, but just earning £50,000 a week. I'm saying it like as if it's very easy to make, but it's possible by choosing a career in football, by choosing a career in music, choosing a career in now content creation, social media management. Things are changing. You can do well by being a painter, because now the world as a shopping space is available to you to use. You can sell yourself, you can market your abilities. Just be confident and put yourself out there. But focus on what your dream is, focus on what you believe, and then pursue it with the best part of you. Don't let anybody force you to do something else. If you want to be a doctor, then be a doctor because you want to, not because it's cool. Otherwise, you could be miserable. If you want to be a painter, be a painter and make the best out of it. Paint in a very dynamic, interesting way that will make people want to work with you. Negative. Not guilty. When I did this today, no, I'm guilty. It was actually by accident. Negative, no. Unfortunately, I'm the one that usually breaks the hearts.